I have the pleasure of being joined by Henk-Frits today from Sports Alliance, and he's going to share his experience in marketing, Sports Alliance's experience with marketing strategy, and tips to aspiring marketeers. So I guess really the first place to get started is, how did you get into marketing?
It's a weird, well, maybe not a weird story. I studied business administration in Rotterdam on the Erasmus University, Rotterdam School of Management, as it is now called, where they have a Master of Science degree other than an MBA degree. And part of that, my education was market research, statistical marketing research. Which I found very interesting because it helped you could actually go out and do a survey and figure out what people are thinking about stuff. I found it very, very interesting. I ended up as a specialist. I taught I was a teaching assistant, so I actually taught people how to use statistical analysis and do statistical research. I graduated in a different direction, but I always thought it was a very useful sort of skill to have, data and marketing. That was really my introduction in marketing. But then I moved. I graduated at Philips Research. That's where the CD player came from. All about the link between technology and marketing. And I worked in pay television, and I was a consultant for a while until one of my old colleagues started Sports Alliance and said, "Hey, I have this project with Aston Villa, where we're gonna." This was 20 years ago. Where we're gonna introduce some modern marketing techniques. Bring data together, create a customer sales center, maybe a call center, and I was involved as a consultant with that, and ended up as in an interim capacity, being the ticket office manager for Aston Villa for a year, while we introduced CRM and a customer sales team and all these for football clubs very modern techniques at the time. And that was basically the start of Sports Alliance, and then how I got into marketing.
Amazing how you're like, and that was 20 years later,
Yeah.
and you're still there now, which is just incredible. So what does your current role involve?
I'm the managing director for Sports Alliance Benelux. Together with, basically we're a franchise of Sports Alliance. So I own Sports Alliance Benelux together with a partner. And we have a team of about 10 people here who serve the clients in the Netherlands, Belgium, France, and we're looking at Germany and Denmark and all those other places. And we work very closely together with the people in the UK, obviously.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so quite varied, I'd imagine, as well, in terms of what the demands are on your role.
Yeah, so sometimes I'm a salesman, sometimes I'm a business consultant, sometimes I'm actually working on the statistical projects. We, for example, have artificial intelligence models we can use because we manage the club's data, and we can also build the models to make use of that data. But it takes quite a lot of. Technically, it's not that complicated, but how you actually create actionable result is what the problem is. And the marketeers that we work with are not necessarily, they read their marketing literature and they hear what's possible, which is not necessarily what is possible if you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes there's a bit of a gap in between that, right?
Yeah.
So what advice would you share for aspiring marketeers?
I think the most important advice for marketeers is not to get drained in the swamp, in the technology swamp. What you saw in the beginning of Sports Alliance, that quite a lot of football clubs, they wanted to do data-driven marketing, and the solution was to introduce a CRM system, but there was not an IT department that could help them with. So the marketeer, who basically got into this because he wanted to send out targeted and personalized campaigns, became the project manager and the technology and the consultant, and all those projects are just complicated for the small organizations or sports clubs. And what the marketeer should do is should aim for, yes, he will have to be involved in the project to make sure that he gets something that he can use. But the moment your project makes you a project manager and you're the one who's driving the technology project, you're in the wrong role. That's not what you should be doing. Then you should try something else. Then those projects tend to be don't end well usually.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that. And it's really interesting you said about the technology swamp. That's such a good way of putting that. I love that phrase. That's excellent.
The thing is that a marketeer knows what he wants from the marketing side of things. He doesn't necessarily realize what that entails technology-wise. Sending an email is actually quite complicated, or bulk email is a complicated process to do that well. And you see them sort of descend. Oh, I need to worry about this. Oh, I need to worry about that. So that's why I use the word swamp, the technology swamp.
Yeah, because there's always so much more than just sending the email, which is where there's always that kind of gap of all these other tasks that need to take place before and all these other tasks that need to take place after. Yeah, you're completely right. I was fortunate enough for you to contribute to the book, which I've actually had copies of delivered today.
Oh, cool.
So I'm very excited about this, and yours is on its way to you. So in the book, you highlight the challenge that businesses have when gathering data. What are the main challenges that you've experienced?
Football clubs are interesting in this respect, or sport clubs, because there are lots of natural ways why you need to ask people for the data. If you sell them a ticket, you need their data. If you sell them merchandise, you need a ticket. You need their data. If you want to sell them a membership, or all these reasons, there are logical reasons for me to leave my data behind. And even then, if you go and ask your fans, oh, I don't have your date of birth and I would like to send you an email on your birthday, please give it to me. They will give it to you. With other businesses, that is not so. There is not always a logical process. So, yeah, if I buy insurance, I might, register in a portal or something like that. If I buy flowers online, there's not a lot of reason for me to leave my data behind. I can use a guest checkout. And then you still have to give your details for the flowers to come to you. Going to a physical shop, if I go to the bakery, why would I leave my data behind in the bakery? You have to come up with a proper reason why people would want to leave their data behind. And once you do that, then you get in the problem of you might have different sources of data, which you then need to combine, and suddenly it becomes very complicated to get that done. We typically work for sports clubs where we know the environment and where our solution is aimed at helping them. But sometimes we deal with the energy supplier who is a sponsor of the club, and they want to do a campaign with the club. We then match that data, and then you're speaking to one of these big energy companies and the struggles they have to get a list of people who are their clients together. I can sort of understand where the problem comes from, but still, it's a struggle to get, who are my energy clients. Apparently, that's difficult for those companies to get that organized really well in a way that you can use it for marketing. That is, I'm sure they have sorted out the delivery process of their product.
Yeah, I've seen, it's interesting that you say that, because I've seen that with particularly energy companies, where it's just even just trying to send a basic email comms is a real challenge of just getting that data together, because it's such legacy systems as well that aren't talking to each other. So, given all of that, what kind of tips do you have for businesses that might be facing a similar challenge?
I think the way to solve this is large companies have large IT departments, and they always think in large solutions. As a marketeer, you're not interested in how that data comes to you and what happens to it. So if you have a solution that is basically aimed at bringing all the data together and cleaning it up so you can send your emails, maybe don't even try to automate it if that's not really necessary. Because otherwise you get these big IT projects that are aimed at creating a data lake, which seems to be an awful lot of work for if you just want to send an email. And try and stay away from that, but only take the data out that you really need for marketing purposes. And IT department will say, no, but we want one database, and we want to share the different data that different departments need, and you're just a department. Just keep it simple. What you want is a list of customers with an email address, so you can send them an email and a process that updates that maybe. That's it. I think that is the way to focus on what is marketing data, and don't leave the rest behind.
It's almost like start with the basics and then grow from there. Don't try and do everything all in one go. Yeah, great advice.
Definitely.
Okay, so what do you think are the most, aside from the data piece, what do you think are some of the other most common pitfalls that marketeers face, and how can they overcome them?
Data-driven marketeers specifically need to balance three things. They need to balance marketing, technology, and GDPR. And as a marketeer, you should be aware of those three. Don't be afraid of GDPR, because it's actually it's frozen business practices that actually make sense. Why do you want to send an email to somebody who said that it doesn't want to receive your email? That doesn't make sense. So there's lots of, make sure you understand those three areas for the things you want to go and do. And if you go and look on the internet and all the slick solutions that are out there that promise you easy solutions, they're probably not there. It's difficult to get it working properly. And be aware of the gap between the people on LinkedIn telling you what is all possible with data and the realities of data.
It's so true. Selling the dream, right?
Yeah, selling the dream. Especially people who sell that dream by the hour is always a dangerous way to get involved in a project.
So from your experience and all what you've gained from, not only just marketing experience, but, as you're saying there, you've got a franchise, you're a business owner, you're running a business as well. What advice would you give your younger self if you were just starting out in marketing now, looking back on all of that experience?
In my case, I would probably say to learn more about marketing. I'm more on the data side of things and on the marketing side of things. And when I'm part of a rebranding process, like we did for Sports Alliance not so long ago, that's a completely new world for me. And I think I should have focused more on marketing, the brand side of marketing, rather than the data side of marketing.
Interesting. Why do you think that is then? Why do you think that would have been more important? Just because of the current situation that you're in now with the rebrand, or is there something that you feel that maybe there's a gap?
I feel like that's something I don't know much about. Okay. I can if somebody tells the story about brands and the brand values. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good story, but I couldn't make it up myself. I'm not sure it's compatible with the person I am, but I would have liked to know more about it from the start.
Yeah, sure. No, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Well, awesome speaking to you. Great to hear your experience. You know, I wish you every success at Sports Alliance. I think it's amazing what you and the team do there. Really is incredible, some of the campaigns that you pull together. And thank you so much for contributing to the book. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you for interviewing me.